It is time for the 2014 Awards 10 Best Interiors evaluations, and we started at the beginning of February. We've had 18 vehicles in the office so far. We've got another 18 to come, and then probably another 10 or so that we still haven't scheduled yet. So as we pick the winners, we are evaluating. We're looking at fit and finish. We're looking at aesthetics. We're looking at color schemes. We're looking at functionality. We're looking at comfort overall, value. So those are the key criteria that we use in picking interiors. So we're going to kind of go around the room here and talk one by one about some of the individual cars and trucks that we have been experiencing so far. So Chrissy's going to kick it off with the Kia Cadenza.
Yeah, so I had the Cadenza last weekend. I think it's probably the most comfortable vehicle I've driven in this test cycle. It's very roomy, especially the back seat. The outboard seats are very roomy. Great room up front. It's very comfortable. Ergonomically, it's really good. There's a lot of large buttons. They're easy to reach. I'd say if there's one drawback to the vehicle, it's that it's rather plain. The interior is not really showy in any way.
Black and tan, right, if I recall?
Black
Mostly.
and ivory. All very good materials. Hyundai and Kia are really stepping up their game in terms of materials. But yeah, I think the overall look of the vehicle is kind of dull.
Pricing?
$41,600, I think, which I thought was a really good deal because you get heated front and rear outboard seats, you get a heated steering wheel, you get a panoramic sunroof, navigation. So yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
Although if you were to tell somebody 15 years ago a Kia was selling for $41,600, they wouldn't believe it. But that's where Kia's come up.
And they certainly wouldn't believe that they could produce a car like this, because it's pretty convincing. I mean, this is the new flagship for the Kia brand, right?
No, actually, the
K900
is the flagship for the Kia brand. So this is a step down and aimed at a little bit of an older buyer, which probably explains some of the sedateness in the interior.
Well, so we've got Cadenza, we've got K900, we also have the Hyundai Genesis, and then we have the Hyundai Equus. It's a lot of entries.
Up-level models for Hyundai Kia, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the direction they're both moving in, and so far they're having some minor success. We'll see what the future holds. You weren't crazy about the pricing.
Yeah, I thought it was actually $5,000-$6,000 more than I expected when I got out of there and I looked at the sticker. So it was a little bit, it was comfortable, roomy back seat, very sedate, no real wow factor to it, and I, thought it was just a little bit higher than I would have thought.
So Steve, let's talk about the WRX. This is the Subaru WRX, and of course the STI. You've had a chance to drive both of them. Of course, the boy racer. Everybody, every guy under 25, I think, loves the WRX and the STI.
Yeah, and that's the thing. What Subaru has done nicely with the interior package is it retains its sports performance look, but is very refined. So you have some really nice blended material and nice touches here and there, but you have the sports-oriented instrument panel, and you have the downsized steering wheel with the flat bottom, and stuff like that. You realize you're in a sports car, but it's also a very refined look.
Yeah.
One thing I didn't kind of like was I thought the infotainment system was almost last generation. Subaru needs to pick a
small screen, right?
Small screen, small buttons.
Yeah.
It has functionality, but it's not user-friendly.
Yeah. Since you got to drive the STI, which is like a step up in terms of performance, can you talk about the interior differentiation between the WRX and the STI? I mean, is there much of a step up? Are the seats more bolstered? Is there more stitching on the seats?
Basically, the seats are more sports-oriented in the STI, and there's this and that, but essentially it's the same interior. The real difference is under the hood and with the chassis.
Sure. And then how about the back seat? I mean, this is a car with
Back seat,
four doors.
surprisingly, it was pretty roomy. I think you denoted that in one of your pictures of testing the back seats with how much headroom there was.
Good. All right, so let's talk about some Cadillacs now. We had Cadillac CTS V Sport, and then also the ELR, which is the Cadillac version of the Volt. So, Dave, tell us about those two Cadillac interiors.
Well, I still, even though it's been around for a while, I really still like the Cadillac look. I think aesthetically that design works very
edgy,
well.
Very clean.
And the CTS, I thought the color scheme with the blue leather had some nice touches. The light piping around the vents and the doors was very nice.
Yep.
The big problems I have, with two things. I mean, the ELR, again, does a great job of differentiating the interior from the Chevy Volt, the price jump is huge. And, I don't know if there's enough there really to say this is worth $80,000. And then there were I thought some minor things. The King's joint, I think, in the ELR was, one side was very wide. So
This is the joint where the door meets up with the instrument panel. It's a very fussy joint, or at least it can be, because sometimes the door will sag a little bit, or they don't get that nice even flow from the door into the instrument panel.
yeah, so I think that was a little uneven in terms of the quality. I still have trouble with the GMQ system. I think it's a little glitchy. I thought there were some other glitches in terms of the technology in those two cars. But from an aesthetic standpoint, I think they're both very nice.
Yeah, and how about the voice recognition? And I found this to be true for a lot of the interiors that we've been studying, where you just push that button on the steering wheel and you can ask for basically whatever you want. If you want a certain radio station, whether it's XM or whether it's FM or an AM station, or even changing the climate control, it's
very
really
advanced.
impressive that a lot of the voice recognition systems have gotten so good to the point where you don't have to worry about
Yeah.
actually understanding how the system works.
I think that's what they would say too, is, stop touching it and start using the voice commands, because they do work very well.
Well, and they're kind of discouraging you from touching it, because with those haptic sensors, once you put your finger near it, then you can do something that you didn't intend. You can change the volume or change a station, and then you're just kind of ticked off, and you're wondering, why did they do this to me?
Yeah, some people are more tactile than others. They want to push those buttons.
Right,
You
right.
have to have that.
Yep.
You were in a luxury car recently.
I was in the Audi SQ5. So the Q5 is the smaller end of the CUV segment for Audi, and now they've done the SQ5. So it's got the 3-liter supercharged V6, which is a fine engine. A lot of engine for a vehicle that size, but really the interior is very clean. But it's mostly black. I mean, I wouldn't describe it as black, but the spec sheet says black interior, but it's more like a gunmetal gray, and then it's got nice, distinctive white stitching. And then there's really nice carbon fiber bits on the dashboard and on the center console. And that center console treatment, especially when you come in from the side of the vehicle and you look, and I mean, if the light is hitting that carbon fiber trim just right, it just really pops. And then of course Audi just really does metallic trim really well. And the whole thing just looks and feels like an Audi. It's really
Yeah,
nice.
they do interiors well. We've always
really
liked
do.
Audi
Yeah.
interiors.
Does it progress the Audi interior?
That's an excellent question. I mean, that's what I wrote on my score sheet was, yes, it fits with the Audi family, but does it raise the bar for Audi interiors? I mean, the bar's already pretty high for Audi interiors as far as I'm concerned. Well, we were going to try to keep this to 2 minutes, and we shot well past our limit. So we're going to come back with more of these updates in the days and weeks to come.